Welcome to Withdraw Consent. I'm Jack. This is Victor. Victor, what do you got for us today?
Today, Jack, I want to talk about truth. First off, can you define truth for me?
I would say that truth is,
How about truth in the context of this show when we're talking about geopolitical situations, history, that type of thing?
I feel like a lot of philosophers have philosophized about this for a very long time. I would say what we're trying to find are the things that are objectively real and verifiable.
Okay.
Yeah, and we pay specific emphasis to the ones that people are very wrong about or have been propagandized. I would just say that's our emphasis in
Okay.
regards to our show.
Okay. Gotcha. So being objective. Okay. By objective truth, what we're speaking of is truth that is backed by fact. It isn't based on feelings or your opinions. Um, It, an example would be if I held up a dollar bill between Jack and I asked him to describe his side, and I described my side. We come up with different answers, even though we're looking at the same thing. Those are it's relative based on our point of view. But the one thing that is objective is that this is a dollar bill. So that would be one subjective, one subjective. So when every video we're asking for comments and we want good arguments to refute what we've talked about. And we don't want opinions. We want stuff based on facts, stories, history that we haven't heard, that we're not mentioning, that we're discounting, anything like that. That's what we're looking for. Things that are objective, that can be backed up. I would consider ourselves truth seekers, is that truth is the ultimate goal for us. We try very hard to reevaluate things in our lives that don't match up to the truth. And it's a hard thing sometimes. Sometimes you've held on to something for years or decades, and you run into something that completely blows that out of the water. It's a hard thing to change yourself and reorientate your worldview in light of that. Do you have any examples in your life where that happened to you?
What specifically? Well,
Of where you were faced with a truth, but you had a belief that you wanted to hold on to instead
oh,
of
okay. I understand the question. Um, Silly story,
okay,
but I don't know, over half a decade, on a spiritual journey,
okay,
went down the Buddhism path, see what you
mm,
got. It's not like it's a religion; it's a path that you live every day, and like the goal is to eliminate suffering,
okay,
and to do that, you eliminate desire. And I just literally eliminated desire, and it was a crazy experience, but. I always loved philosophy, and I was always reading Nietzsche at the same time. So I had this book called The Buddhist Bible. It was like popular in the 60s, but it's got from different faiths in Buddhism, different roads. And I would read that, and then I would read Nietzsche. And one of the whole points of Nietzsche is that suffering's good because suffering gives you the growth. But I'm already so far down this other path. I don't want to believe you. I don't want to believe you because I've spent so much human effort
okay.
to eliminate suffering and desire in my life as much as I could. But I kept reading that other book. And eventually one day I just said, I don't know what I've been doing. Like I've been just, I know this. And I put down the Buddhist Bible. I don't think I ever picked it up after that. And my life just instantly changed because I was like, now I'm gonna actually look at this truth.
Just cold turkey, you just walked away from this thing you've
Right.
been
That I spent
investing.
years on.
Wow.
I avoided stepping on the grass because there's bugs in there. It's part of the.
You were really into it.
Yeah, everything you do all day long, every breath you take, every thought in your head is all dedicated towards mindfulness and this whole path. And I realized, wait, I don't even want to be on this path. But it took a long time, but I kept reading the other book, which is a good thing because if I'd closed my mind to that other book, I would have just.
So as you were reading the philosophy book, it sounded like truth to you. Like you, at some level, you kind of knew that this was better.
Right. And I just couldn't grasp it because I was like, but the goal is to end suffering, right? Because that's like the Four Noble Truths. That's the goal is to end suffering. But suffering is good. I keep reading, for its own, as a means to an end. Anyways, so.
Okay, that's very interesting. My personal story is more closed minded than Jack's was. There are certain things in my life that I've never been willing to question because grandparents and father and pastor and teachers and Rush Limbaugh and everything beat into me certain principles: conservatism, capitalism, open marketplace, Republicans, just America, just everything. And you don't question those things. America's the good guy. Republicans are on your side and support the Second Amendment and just all this stuff. And I was never willing to question that. I would, interestingly enough, I would prove my open-mindedness to people by saying I'm willing to consider flat earth arguments or reptilian overlords or the craziest thing I could find because I thought that meant I was open-minded.
I see.
But it's really the things that you hold dear that you've been focused for days, years, decades of your life. You've been believing these things. If you can question those things, that's when your mind is actually, you're willing to have an open mind about things. And that's when you're able to hear truth more. The journey to truth, the path to truth is just a long journey. You take steps, and you have to constantly reevaluate your world. Every time you take a new step, you have to look around and go, all right, based on this new information, what is the world? And then as you're reevaluating, you're going to eventually find some more truth, and you take another step. We believe we've taken a lot of steps down this road. Again, very different paths that we've taken, but we've ended up at the same place because this truth that we're talking about, there is one destination. And again, very different paths, but we've ended up in the same place.
I want to add,
Yeah.
there's also many more steps to go.
Oh, definitely. We haven't
Okay,
arrived. Yeah.
right, because that's kind of what it sounds like, but we are not
No.
of that opinion. I was a previous video we did, I was researching it, and I have this notes up, and I was reading these notes, and I'm like, man, this is really good stuff. And I got to the bottom, and I'm like, this is silly. This is silly. I can't believe I thought this 2 weeks ago. That's not, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're working on this advancement, and it's a crazy ride. Also.
Yeah, it's a constant reevaluation. But it's one of the reasons why we made this channel is because as we're on this journey, we're looking around and we're like, where's the content for where I'm at right now? And I know personally, I keep unsubscribing from all these people who aren't far enough along the path, or maybe they are and they're afraid of censorship or whatever. Where's the content for me where I'm at?
Right.
And I think you brought it up, like, well, why don't we make it? And
Right.
that's
Right.
why not?
And even if we get a small audience of,
Sure.
of advanced people, those people
Cool.
need an audience. You know?
Or we can, even if those small people, the small audience, we can help you take one more step. That's the goal of this.
And also, if you could help us take one more step, which is why we say at the end of every video, if you got something to refute us, put us in the comments, because I literally want to learn from you, and I'm hoping you're learning from us. That's
Right, definitely.
the community.
I mean, it sounds weird to say, but I love being proved wrong because that means that I've now got a better opinion than when we started an argument. And I always want to be improving and getting closer to that truth, going down that path. And that's what I hope for all of you.
Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please remember to like and subscribe. If you maybe know anybody who's a fellow truth seeker who you think this video might be encouraging to, or if you know someone who maybe is a little closed-minded, if you think that some of our ideas could help them open up, be sure to share the video, and we look forward to seeing you next time. So before we published this video, we realized that we didn't really take it far enough, honestly. So the question is, what things in your life, like for you, the viewer, what things can you not even critically consider because it's impossible that there's any other reality than the one that you currently hold? Victor, some examples?
Yeah, so the idea of this is almost like a litmus test. Which one of these makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up, or you think, God, these guys are idiots, or whatever, like emotional reaction, which of these trigger you? And that's what you're looking for. Are you willing to consider that politicians aren't acting in good faith? We're not saying they are or they aren't, but are you willing to consider that? How about that they work together, or the media isn't bad at their job, they are intentionally directing you in a certain way? Are you willing to consider this? How about like historical items, such as like the founding fathers? Are you willing to consider that maybe they weren't great? Maybe they had ulterior motives or something? What about Saddam Hussein or Gaddafi or people that we've been told our enemies. Are you willing to consider that they were good guys? Or how about like Stalin or Mao? We've been told they're bad guys. Are you willing to consider that you've got the story wrong and that you've been lied to?
Right. And when you get to the point in this list or in any list you just make up of your own when you're doing some introspection and you say, hey, I'm not willing to, oh, this is too far. I'm not willing to apply critical thought to this. That's where you're going to find your biggest holes in your thinking. Because if you have re-examined whether or not flat earth is true 50 times in your life, which you really don't need to do it that many times, but we'll just say you have, you're going to have ended up with the right idea because you've been so critical of your thinking on that subject. But like, for example, let's just say Stalin. Let's say
Right.
if you've never considered that he could be the good guy, that he might be the good guy, then it's impossible for you to ever know if he was the good guy. And the secret is he wasn't. He wasn't. And we're not saying these people are good guys.
Right.
We're just saying, where's your line and where will you not critically think past that? And past that line, there's going to be not Mao or Stalin, but there's going to be some things you're going to find that are very interesting. And we're still finding them actually to this day.
All the time.
And so we just want to challenge you to just look at the things that it could be climate change, could be anything. Whatever you're not willing to reconsider in your life, that's your flaw in your thinking. And we encourage you to just let down that barrier and critical think your way through it.
Yeah, you might have it right. You might have climate change right, but are you willing to consider? Yeah, it's just that willingness, the open-mindedness that we're shooting for.
Okay, thanks for joining us. Bye.